Chapters 13 through 16 of the Gospel according to Matthew, from the New Testament in modern English, translated by Ferrar Fenton. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapter 13. At this time, however, Jesus, going out from the house, sat down by the sea. And a great crowd collected about him, so that he ascended into a boat and sat down in it, while all the crowd stood upon the shore. And he spoke many things to them in parables, saying, It happened that a sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some fell by the roadside, and the birds came and devoured it. Another part fell upon stony land, where the soil was not deep enough, and it sprouted very quickly on account of the shallowness of the soil. But when the sun arose, it was scorched, and it also withered for want of root. And another lot fell among the thistles, and the thistles grew up and choked it. But the rest fell upon good land, and produced grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Whoever has ears to hear, let him listen. His disciples, approaching him, afterwards asked, Why do you speak to them in parables? Because, he answered, it is granted to you to become acquainted with the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but it is not granted to others. For whoever has a possession, it will increase with him. But the one who possesses nothing, even what he has will be torn from him. I therefore speak to them in parables, because seeing they see not, and hearing they do not hear, neither will they understand. Thus by them is verified the prophecy of Isaiah, which says, Listen to a sound and never understand it, and seeing, see, but never perceive. For the heart of this people is stupefied, and they listen with loaded ears, and their eyes they have closed, fearing they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their hearts, and turn back, and I would restore them. But your eyes are happy because they see, and your ears because they can listen. For I tell you truly that many prophets and good men have ardently desired to see what you see, and have not seen it, and to hear what you hear, and have not heard it. Listen therefore to the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the message of the kingdom of heaven and does not comprehend, the devil comes and snatches what was scattered in his heart. Thus it is with that sown along the roadside. But that sown upon stony land, that is the one who hears the discourse, and accepts it immediately with pleasure. But being without root in himself, he is therefore temporary. And when trouble or persecution comes against the truth, he at once falls away. Now as to what was sown among the thistles, that is the one who listens to the message, but the anxieties of this age and the slavedom of wealth suffocate the message, and it becomes fruitless. Now as to that which falls upon good soil, that is the man who listens to the reason and comprehends it. He consequently produces grain, it may be to the extent of 100, 60, or 30-fold. Continuing, he put before them another parable. I may compare the kingdom of heaven to a man sowing good seed in his field. But while his men were asleep, his enemy came and sowed darnel weeds among the wheat, and went away. However, when the plant shot out, and should have produced grain, then the weeds were also seen. Then his servants coming to the farmer asked him, Did you not, sir, sow perfect seed in your field? Then where did the weeds come from? And in reply to them he said, Some enemy must have done this. His servants then asked, Do you wish us to go and pull them up? No, was his reply, lest while you are plucking up the weeds, you should uproot the wheat along with them. Allow both of them to grow together until the harvest, and during the harvest I will say to the reapers, First collect the weeds and bind them into bundles to burn, but store up the wheat into my granaries. He also told them another parable, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard, which a man took and sowed in his field. This is the smallest of such seeds, but when it grows up, it is the largest of all garden herbs, and becomes a bush, so that the birds of the air come and shelter among its branches. He told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast which a woman took and mixed in 3 stones of flour, so that the whole was fermented by it. Jesus spoke the whole of this to the crowd in parables, and without a parable he seldom spoke to them, so that the statement delivered through the prophet might be fulfilled, which says, I will open my mouth in parables. I will dig up what has been hidden from the foundation of the world. Then Jesus, sending the crowd away, went into the house, and his disciples came to him, saying, "Explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field." And replying to them, he said, "The sower of the perfect seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The perfect seed are the sons of the kingdom. The weeds are the sons of the wicked, while the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the completion of the age, and the reapers are the angels. Just as they collect the weeds and burn them, so it will be at the end of this period. The Son of Man will send his messengers and will collect out of his kingdom every offensive thing and whatever causes sin, and will throw them into the furnace of fire, where will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous shall shine out like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Let all listen who have ears to hear. Again, the kingdom of heaven is comparable to a buried treasure in a field, which, if a man finds, he covers up. And in his delight he goes and sells whatever he possesses to enable him to buy that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant on the lookout for valuable pearls, who, having found a particular one of very great value, goes and disposes of all the others he has, and buys it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a dragnet, which has been spread out in the sea, and collects all kinds. Then, when full, they draw it up on the beach, and sitting down they collect the good into baskets, and cast the bad away. Thus it will be at the completion of the period. The angels will pick out and carry away the wicked from the midst of the righteous, and throw them into the furnace of fire. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Do you, asked Jesus, understand all this? Yes, Lord, was their reply. Since that is the case, he further said to them, every teacher who has been trained into the kingdom of heaven is like one who is the master of a house, who brings out from his stores what is new, as well as what is old. Now when Jesus had finished these parables, he removed from there, and coming into his own country, he taught them in their synagogue. And so greatly astonished were they, that they asked, "Where has this man acquired this knowledge and power? Is he not the son of that carpenter? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judah? And his sisters, are they not all here with us? Where then did he attain all this?" And they were embarrassed concerning him. Jesus, however, said to them, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own country and in his own house." And he did not display much power there, because of their unbelief. Chapter 14. About this time Herod the Tetrarch heard the report concerning Jesus, and said to his companions, "This is John the Baptizer. He must have risen from the dead, and therefore the powers energize him." For Herod had arrested John, put him in chains, and sent him to prison on account of Herodia, the wife of his own brother Philip, because John had told him, "It is not legal for you to have her." And although wishing to murder him, he was afraid of the people, because all honored him as a prophet. At Herod's birthday feast, however, the daughter of Herodia danced before the guests, and delighted Herod. He thereupon promised with an oath to give her whatever she might ask. And she, having been previously instigated by her mother, said, "Give me here upon a dish the head of John the Baptizer." The king was horrified, but because of his oaths and those who reclined with him, he ordered it to be given to her. And sending, he beheaded John in the prison. And his head was brought upon a dish and handed to the girl, and she carried it to her mother. His disciples then came forward, took the body, and buried it, and went to report it to Jesus. And Jesus, hearing it, went away privately in a boat to a desert place. But the people having become aware of it, they followed him by land from the towns. When Jesus came out, he saw a great crowd, and pitied them, and restored the sick to health. But when the evening came, his disciples approached him, saying, "This place is a desert, and the hour now late. Dismiss the crowd, so that going into the villages they may buy food for themselves." "They have no need to go away," remarked Jesus in reply. "Give them victuals yourselves." We have nothing here, they responded, except 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Bring those to me, he said. And he ordered the crowd to recline upon the grassy places, and taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, looking up to heaven, he blessed, and then breaking, he distributed the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples among the crowd. And they all partook and were satisfied. And of the broken pieces remaining, they picked up 12 full bags. Now those who had eaten numbered about 5,000, besides women and children. He then immediately instructed his disciples to embark in the boat, and to precede him to the other side, until he could dismiss the crowd. When he had sent the crowd away, he went up the hill privately to pray. And during the evening he was there alone, while the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was against them. But about 3 o'clock in the morning he came towards them, walking upon the sea. And his disciples, seeing him walking upon the water, were terrified, exclaiming, "It is a phantom!" and called out for fear. Jesus, however, at once spoke to them, saying, "Take courage, I live, be not afraid." Peter in reply said to him, "Master, if you live, order me to come to you upon the waters." "Come," said he. Peter accordingly got out of the boat and walked upon the water towards Jesus. But seeing the strength of the wind, he became afraid, and beginning to sink, he exclaimed, "Master, save me!" Jesus at once holding out his hand, lifted him up, and said to him, "Faint heart, why did you hesitate?" And when they had entered the vessel, he lulled the wind. Then those in the vessel coming to him paid homage, saying, "You most assuredly are a son of God." And having crossed, they arrived in the land of Gennesaret. And the people of that place, recognizing him, sent round the whole of the neighborhood, and brought to him all those who suffered from sickness, and begged that they might only be allowed to touch the hem of his cloak. And as many as touched him were restored to health. Chapter 15. Professors and Pharisees from Jerusalem then approached Jesus, inquiring, "Why do your disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they do not wash their hands when they eat bread." "Why," asked Jesus in reply to them, "do you transgress the command of God by means of your own tradition? For God commanded, 'Honor your father and your mother,' and 'He who neglects father or mother, let his end be death.' But you say, 'If anyone should say to his father or mother, What I might assist you with is consecrated to God,' then he need not assist his father or mother. And thus you set aside the command of God by your tradition. You hypocrites! Well did Isaiah prophesy about you when he said, 'This people come near to me with their mouth, and honor me with their lips. But their hearts run away from me, so in vain do they pay me homage, teaching for doctrines the commands of men.'" Then having called the crowd to him, he addressed them, saying, "Listen and understand. What goes into the mouth does not corrupt the man, but what comes out of his mouth does corrupt him." His disciples, however, approaching him, said, "Do you not see that the Pharisees were shocked when they heard your assertion?" But he replied, "Every plant that has not been planted by my heavenly Father shall be uprooted. Let them alone. They are blind guides of the blind. But when the blind guide the blind, both will fall into a ditch." Peter then making answer said to him, "Explain this puzzle to us." But Jesus replied, "Are you ignorant even yet? Do you not know that everything going into the mouth proceeds to the stomach, and is from there evacuated? But what come out from the mouth proceed from the heart, and corrupt the man. For there come from the heart wicked thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, perjuries, blasphemies. These are what corrupt the man. But to eat with unwashed hands does not corrupt the man." When Jesus removed from there, he proceeded to the district of Tyre and Sidon. And there a Canaanitish woman of that part, running, called out to him, saying, "Pity me, Master, Son of David.
My daughter is horribly possessed with demons."
But not a word did he answer her. His disciples then advanced and begged him to relieve her, because she calls after us. In reply, however, he said, "I was not sent to other than the lost sheep of Israel's house." But she, approaching, paid him homage, saying,
"Master, help me."
"It is not right," was his reply, "to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs."
"Most true, Master," she said. "Yet even the dogs feed upon the crumbs falling from their master's table."
"Noble woman," exclaimed Jesus in reply to her, "how firm your faith! Let it be even as you desire." And her daughter was restored from that very hour. And when Jesus removed from there, he came along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, and ascending the hill, he sat down. Great crowds then approached him, bringing with them the lame, blind, dumb, maimed, and many others, and they threw them down near the feet of Jesus. And he restored them, so that the crowd wondered, observing the dumb speaking, the maimed made sound, the lame walking, and the blind seeing, and they praised the God of Israel. Jesus then, calling his disciples to him, said, "I feel pity for the crowd, because they have now stayed with me 3 days, and they have nothing to eat. I do not wish to send them away starving, for fear they should faint on the road." And the disciples asked him, "Where can we procure bread enough in a desert like this to satisfy such a crowd?" "How many loaves have you?" Jesus asked them. 7, and a few small fishes," was their reply. He accordingly ordered the crowd to be reclined upon the ground, and taking the 7 loaves and the fishes, giving thanks, he broke and handed to his disciples, and the disciples to the crowd. And they all ate and were satisfied. And of the broken pieces left over, they afterwards gathered up 7 baskets full. And those who had partaken numbered 4,000 men, besides women and children. Then having dismissed the crowd, he took the boat and came to the neighborhood of Magdala. Chapter 16. The Pharisees and Sadducees then coming to him, tried him by asking him to show them a sign from heaven. In response, however, he told them, "When evening comes, you say, 'Sign of fine weather, for the sky is fiery.' In the morning, 'It will be stormy, for the sky is fiery and threatening.' You pretenders! You know how to read the face of the sky. Why not the signs of the times? This depraved and corrupt race are in search of a sign, and no sign shall be given to it other than the sign of Jonah the prophet." And leaving them, he went away, and upon reaching the other side, his disciples found that they had forgotten to bring bread. Jesus then addressing them said, "Look out, and take care to keep free from the ferment of the Pharisees and Sadducees." But they, reflecting, said among themselves, "It is because we have brought no bread." Jesus, perceiving this, however, said, "You skeptics! Why do you debate among yourselves because you have not brought bread? Besides, do you not know nor remember the 5 loaves for the 5,000, and how many bags you collected, nor the 7 loaves for the 4,000, and how many baskets you gathered up? Why do you not understand that I spoke not to you concerning bread, but about avoiding the ferment of the Pharisees and Sadducees?" They then fully comprehended that he had not told them to guard against the ferment of the bread of the Pharisees and Sadducees, but about avoiding their teaching. Now when Jesus arrived at the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do men say that the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptizer, others Elijah, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Then Simon Peter replying said, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Jesus answering said to him, "You are happy, Simon Bar-Jonah, because flesh and blood have not revealed it to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I also tell you that you have said it, and upon that rock I will build my church, and the gates of the grave shall not overpower it. And to you I will give the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you may bind upon earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you may dissolve upon earth shall be dissolved in heaven." He then enjoined his disciples to tell no one that he was the Messiah. From that time Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and endure much from the elders, chief priests, and professors, and be murdered and raised up the third day. But Peter, taking his hand, began to remonstrate with him, saying,
"Mercy on you, Master! This will never happen to you."
Turning round, however, he said to Peter, "Depart from me, you enemy! You are a stumbling block to me, because you do not reflect upon the thoughts of God, but of men." Addressing his disciples, Jesus then said, "If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross, and follow me. But whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it. And if he should lose his life for my sake, he shall find it. For what would it benefit a man if he gained the whole world, but should lose his life? Or what will a man give in exchange for his life? For the Son of Man will come in the future in the majesty of his Father, accompanied by his angels. And then he will reward every one in proportion to his actions. I tell you indeed that there are some of those standing here who shall not taste of death until they see the Son of Man entering his own kingdom." The end of chapters 13 through 16. Recording by Mark Penfold.